Okay, so welcome to our podcast. It is Logan with Star Wars Doctrine. We got Cody with Star Wars Doctrine, Mallory from Analyzing Star Wars here. We're going to be discussing Season 2, Episode 5, better known as Chapter 13 of The Mandalorian. And we're going to lose our mind. So, last chance for warnings. Massive, 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 huge, crazy, blowing your mind spoilers. So, leave if you haven't watched this, or if you don't care about spoilers, but really it's your choice. But before we jump into the quick sum up of the summary of the episode and our discussion, Cody has a little announcement that he wants to make.
Yeah, guys, if you're checking us out on YouTube, watching this live, either way, just wanted to say if you haven't seen it yet on our Instagram, we're doing an awesome giveaway right now. We teamed up with Pop Sockets, sent us some awesome Star Wars stuff. This is the Thirst Pop that they're giving away. Got a Death Star, we got Rebel logo, and fitting for tonight, we have the Mando Pop Socket. So this whole pack's being given away. The giveaway ends Saturday, so get your entries in. There's a lot of cool ways you can enter. Just go to our Instagram at Star Wars Doctrine, and you can enter that. Okay.
For sure, we just wanted to, weeks of being thankful. We were able to put together this awesome giveaway, giving thanks. This giveaway is only open to, North America, so we will probably do other giveaways that are open to around the world. Um, when we have money and can
Yeah.
ship really far away. But so there you go. That's giveaway. Go check it out on Instagram. And now, spoilers. So season 2 episode 5 just freaking opens up with Ahsoka. Not even like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. It's Ahsoka. The end. Like just like, oh, here's a cute little sum up. Ahsoka. So whatever the hell that was about. She looks so good. Rosario Dawson just, oh my gosh, her lightsabers. Oh my gosh, she just murders all these guys. It's freaking fantastic. Clearly, the bad guys, but awesome scenes. Um, Filoni, fantastic job directing this scene where Ahsoka basically storms a castle. He takes out all the guards out front, talks to someone known as the Magistrate of our little planet that we're hanging out at here. She wants some information, and the Magistrate says, "No way in hell." Ahsoka says, "I'll give you a day, then I'll come kill you if you don't tell me." So it's pretty much how it is. The magistrate doesn't care about her citizens, has them under basically like a martial law lockdown. And then Mando shows up and basically walks up to the city, and they're like, "Hey, we have a Jedi problem. Can you go kill her?" And Mando's like, "I mean, sure. Where is she?" And they send they send Mando to go find her with a promised payment of a full staff of Beskar, which is pretty exciting. Mando finds Ahsoka, of course, and is like, "Hey, don't kill me. Bo-Katan said you're cool." And then she sees Baby Yoda, who gets a name change, so that's freaking crazy.
Oh
He
man.
actually gets a name. Lots of discussion. This is such a full episode that we'll break down more. Lots of discussions. Basically, Mando agrees, hey, if you train the kid, I'll help you with your problem on dealing with the magistrate and that stuff. So she says, cool. They go. Ahsoka has this awesome showdown. I swear you think she's gonna die for a second. She loses her lightsaber into a pond, which I think she fishes it out at some point.
Yeah,
Awesome
guessing.
killing of some guards and stuff, like very like horror movie esque. So that was really cool. And then, of course, Ahsoka wins, and then name drops Grand Admiral Thrawn, because that's who Ahsoka's looking for, which is gonna put Mallory
True
into tears.
Mallory tears.
And then basically she's like, "Hey, yeah, the kid likes you. I'm not gonna train him. Haha, your problem. Bye." And then sends him actually off to Taifu. So that's that actually. And now we're gonna break it down. Of course, starting I think with just the most basic of things. This is his name, Grogu, Grogu.
Gonna be weird to get used to.
That's super weird, and I'm kind of upset he doesn't start with a Y.
Yaddle Yoda, Yogu,
But they do have weird names, I guess. That's at least the
Gogurt,
pattern.
Gogurt.
Gogurt, how I've missed you. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, where do we start? I guess let's just start with Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I think that's the most fair spot.
I think I was incredibly. So there's been millions of fan art, over the last little while since we've known that she's probably going to be Ahsoka. And I would have to say that now fan art did justice for what she was going to look like
Right.
because she fit the description on so many levels that I was beyond surprised. Like, I didn't know how that would translate to live
Hmm.
action. And once again, they blew it out of the water and obviously chose the perfect face to fit her because that it just looked great.
Yeah. No. I mean, I totally agree. She looks fantastic. Her lightsabers, that was great. I was kind of impressed to see the white turn out so well. Um,
It was pretty.
yeah. And I thought, and we mentioned this while watching it, her voice actually it
Yeah,
didn't sound like not Ahsoka, I guess was the big thing.
Yeah, I
right.
think one thing I have to comment is I didn't think I would like it if it wasn't Ashley, but I think she did a really good job. Like,
Yeah,
I think it begs just to say it's like the similarities between Hayden Christensen and Matt Lanter is where they don't sound a lot. Matt Lanter played a phenomenal Anakin, and I think just the way with how she acted and represented herself as Ahsoka, I think it did it justice. I mean, and there were times where she's like, oh, I mean, there's kind of like a little mixture there. Like, you can hear some of Ashley within Ahsoka because I think Ahsoka, like for me, Ashley is Ahsoka, and
Right.
that, like, and that will always resonate. If I see Ashley, if I hear Ashley, that's Ahsoka, and you can't change my mind on that. But there are times you're like, I hear Rosario Dawson, but I hear a little bit of like Ashley in there too. Like clearly Ashley's not involved
yeah,
with this at all. Like she
Right.
already said that. Like she has no idea what's going on.
right.
But I mean, I think you can just tell by the way she portrays and speaks as Ahsoka, she's paying homage to Ashley.
Hmm. I think
Yeah,
it's fair.
which is the way you have to do that. So it was good. Yeah,
Um, so I guess overall we're all super pumped with how Ahsoka came out, which I know a lot of people were worried about. I mean, and I think that's completely fair. You should be worried about when you bring a beloved character to a new medium. That just makes sense. But they did a fantastic job, and the storyline for this is mind blowing.
yeah. Let me make one comment, just because we've only said positive things. If I had to pick one
Okay.
thing that I didn't love about her appearance,
Hold on, can I say something first?
Haha, denied.
fine.
I want to say it first. I think the one complaint I have about this episode is she fought with a front facing grip and not a reverse grip.
She switched to the reverse grip in a fight, but yeah.
She did.
But once.
Yeah,
But Ahsoka, if above anything, other than being having two lightsabers and being Anakin's Padawan, she's known for that reverse grip. All of her
sure.
photos are standing with that reverse grip, and she didn't. She stood with them facing forward,
Maybe
and
she
that
learned how to fight finally.
bothered. But that for her entire career.
She's versatile. She can do both. So
Yes,
I
I
get
know
what you're
she's
saying,
versatile, but
but
still, that I'm not someone to go. But if that's one thing I'm going to nitpick on this episode, it's that one thing.
yeah.
Okay, I'm
Well,
sorry. I'm
my
done
one
complaining now.
thing before you
You can go.
interrupted me
I'm sorry.
was that
Oh wait, can I
um,
say something?
I
No, I'm just kidding.
I will fight you all. Is that her Montrals were too short. The last
Yeah,
time we saw her in Rebels, her Montrals were like down far. It was like, okay,
they're
she's
like mermaid ones, past
older.
boob.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it looked more like how we saw her at the end of Clone Wars,
Right.
which it was still a great look, but I just don't know how they could shrink. I don't think you can get a Montreal cut like a haircut. Maybe you can. I just don't know.
Yeah, and it does seem
But
to seem vindicative of like the species that their Montrose keep growing, and I'm not
as
100%
they
sure
get
of that,
older,
but like just
right?
thinking of uh crap.
Track teeth,
There we go. I was like,
because hers are very long.
yeah, because hers was
But
very long, and then of course she was definitely
we
older
don't
than
know.
Ahsoka, and
All
then
those things
Ahsoka's
that we
got
just don't know.
longer,
Right,
throughout
right,
Clone Wars, so it
exactly,
just made sense.
exactly. But
So
anyways,
no, I
small
think that's a
complaint that
good
doesn't really
nitpick.
matter. But if I had to pick something, so anyways, sorry, carry on.
Um, I guess for me, then you just kind of move on to, I guess the scene, right? The scene to me is just Baby Yoda slash Grogu, um, and Ahsoka sitting across from each other. They have like a little communication through the Force. And that scene, that entire 5 minutes is so precious, or however long it is. It's not that long. I wish it was longer. We get to see that that Grogu seems to be able to, the child gets is able to actually communicate at least through the Force still. There's some way
Yeah.
that he's able to, still communicate with Ahsoka, which is very
I
interesting,
totally
getting
forgot
way
about
more.
that.
Yeah, we know you're kind
Yeah.
of been lost on Thrawn.
Well, and then I mean, the fact that we got a little backstory on him, because that's one thing that's been like, bothering me for a long time. I'm like, why
Oh,
was he
my
on that
fetching
one
Gosh's
planet too?
backstory, though.
Yeah, and so it's like,
It's in your
so
face, my
okay,
bad.
so we know he was on Coruscant
Hmm.
being trained. Makes you wonder how long he was there of his 50 years, right?
Yeah, it's a good point.
And yeah, right. And like,
Do you think he was born
obviously
on
he was still
Coruscant?
considered a youngling. That's possible. I don't know, but there's so much stuff to unpack. That I'd never thought in my mind, never even crossed my mind that he would have been at the Coruscant Jedi Temple, and I don't know why,
No,
but never did.
I haven't heard a single thing about that personally myself. Like, I've not heard any concepts about that, and I think that's so cool. The fact that he was probably there. Yoda knows this kid exists,
For sure. Well, someone obviously hit him, right? So a
right?
Jedi or somebody went and hit him.
Do you think
Maybe not
Yoda
a
did it?
Jedi.
I have two guesses,
Uh,
and they're both gonna be wrong. Yoda's the first guess because obvious, and then
right.
also I
You're
think
right.
Okay, Yoda definitely knew. Okay, hey, this is my species. Hey, like we, I, he probably was in charge of the plan of this kid because says that he had several masters. So I'm sure he got a little like special treatment because of the weird
The
complexity
species,
of
or
his species, where
Well, if you
he's
think about it, if you go back to the Master and Apprentice novel, before peop before they're granted the rank of Padawan, they're into like these little tribe things where
yeah,
Jedi Masters will come in and they'll teach them. Like they're not their masters, but they'll come in and teach them little things.
yeah,
So I
they're
think
still
that's what they're
learning from
talking about.
everyone.
Is yeah, if they're
true.
learning from everyone, they're not necessarily
Could be,
learning from like one person. I think that's what it is.
See, and
could
I'm
be.
thinking it's something else, just because I just don't think he fits in with most Padawans, because there's something very complex about his age, to where he still has a very childlike demeanor, very
At 50.
toddler-esque, you know? But
Yeah,
at the same point, there's plenty of times where he shows that he's intelligent enough to understand what's going on, and he's very capable of, I guess, not really communicating, but accomplishing things, right?
yeah,
So I feel
yeah.
like there's
That's
a good chance he
crazy.
got some sort of special treatment, some sort of special training, etc.
My mind also goes to like Bail Organa, and if
That's
maybe,
my second
you know,
guess.
oh really? Yeah.
Yes.
If he was, and if Yoda kind of put him in charge of, hey, you know, if we get a hold of any Padawans and everything, can you find a place for them? Can you, keep them safe, or whatever? Uh, Unless they want to tie this into like the Obi-Wan show. Obi-Wan was good at delivering babies to
Sure.
hidden
Obi just drops
planets.
children off.
Yeah, so you never know. But that's just crazy. Like, I'm just mind blown that they. I mean, think about all the references just in that scene right there. Coruscant. I'm glad she mentioned
She
Yoda by
specifically says
name.
Yoda by name.
Um, Obviously, when she saw him, she was like, "Ooh, like I hope it's about. I hope we're here to talk about him because like, curiosity's peaked, right? Like,
Right.
she did say, I have only known one of his species, and it got
Yeah,
me
with grip.
thinking. I was like, did she not know Yaddle? But maybe she was just too young to really be around when, or never met Yaddle. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if she never met Yaddle, but at the same point, I mean, she knew
She
Yoda,
still probably
but at the
knew.
same
Yeah,
point,
that's fair.
Yaddle was a prominent figure. That's
So she would have known of Yaddle, but maybe she was just mostly saying like she knew Yoda more
she actually
personally.
knew
So
Yoda,
yeah,
right?
I think that's what she's saying. I mean, she did say I knew someone like this.
yeah,
I don't think she knew Yaddle.
right.
Yeah,
Not
but
the
I still
same
think
way.
saying if I've only known a couple of the species would have been fine.
Right, but I
But
feel
yeah,
like I have to import and like input my like at least some things other than the one thing we all know I'm gonna comment on.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
so
So, of
we'll
course,
just
that's
save that for a
crazy.
little bit later.
And then something I was just super pumped about, of course, was Tython being mentioned. Tython is a huge, huge Legends planet. It's in Star Wars: The Old Republic, super heavily featured in that game. It's crazy featured in the Darth Bane book, which is its first appearance. Darth Bane, the second book, as the ancestral world of the Jedi. It's so cool that they're bringing it
Ancient
in and
Jedi.
gonna appear in live action. Right? That's like the biggest takeaway. I mean, it's technically appeared in two other things. Apparently, it was set in a board game that came out shortly after The Force Awakens, which I don't own that board game, so I probably should go buy that. And then it was mentioned in a Doctor Aphra comic.
Afro comic, right? Well,
So,
apparently Vader goes there on Doctor Afro comic, right? For
right,
split second,
there's a
thinking the
brief
rebels
mention.
might be there.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like two pictures. It's like crazy, but
So, yeah, that's really cool and just really fun lore that they're bringing in right there.
mhm.
And the fact that we might get to see, well, we're going probably to get to see a Jedi temple, a new Jedi temple on screen is just freaking awesome. And then the other idea was like, a lot of people thought that this could, and it's more legends now, right? But this could have been one of the more uh, original Jedi temples. Like people thought this or Octu or you know
Was
could
the
have been
first
one of
Jedi
the
Temple? Yeah,
first Jedi temples. So like the original, right? So I don't know. So Luke probably has been there or was at least looking for it at one point. Ahsoka obviously knows about it. Um, it's just interesting. I,
So
I
on the
was a
topic,
little
go ahead, Cody.
surprised. Oh, sorry. Okay, I was a little surprised too, just how like at the end it was like, okay, good luck. Yeah, like I'm not gonna train him, but like go to this temple. I like to me, I'm like, no, go with him, show him. She's like, okay, what you need to do is you need to take him to this mountain that I really know really well, and you need to do this and this and this. And if I just went with you, it'd be
Mando's
really
like,
convenient for you.
can
But I'm
you
just
say
gonna
that
have you
again?
do it
Let
by
me write it
yourself.
down.
I'm busy. So maybe it's just like she's like, I got my own mission to do, dude. But like, I was like, no, just go with him and show him how much cooler would that be. But
I think
anyways,
that
oh,
is a
well then,
huge missed opportunity of this show frequently is the
right.
bye
Never
Mando,
going off,
have
guys.
fun.
Yeah, every episode.
You're
No
like,
tease.
wow, Cara Dune's cool. All right, they're gonna hang out together.
See ya. No.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Or wait, Queel's cool. Never mind, they're
Bye.
gone.
I have spoken. Oh,
IG-88.
oh,
Wow, such a cool team up. Oh wait, Mando killed them.
they they
Uh,
didn't
or IG-11. My bad. Whatever.
obviously left us with lots of anxiety and cliffhanger about the fact that he's being tracked.
Right.
Apparently, he wasn't there long enough for them to catch up.
Hmm.
So, are they going to catch up with him on Tython?
I
That'd be
guess
interesting.
so. I don't know. It's gonna be episode 8 or
Yeah,
chapter
the
16.
last, the finale or whatever. Dude, the fighting was beautiful. That one scene where Ahsoka's like, they
Where
did the
she
whole
like
like
ignites it like a
yeah, the whole Assassin's Creed type of like
there you
she was
go.
sneaky. She was like it was like the underworld type of stuff, and she's like sneaking around, disappearing into the shadows. It's like you can tell she's used to living in the shadows. They did her so well with that, and that persona was like she was fierce. She was like no regard for anybody, just like doing what she needed to get done, hopping in and out of the shadows. That was some of the coolest like all of those fight scenes with her, even though it wasn't
The
lightsaber to
entire
lightsaber. It was
Hmm.
yeah,
just
that
such cool
entire scene.
choreography, everything.
Yeah, that entire scene. I was just thinking about the Ahsoka novel because
Yeah.
I mean she literally lived years, like at
Hmm.
least 20 years in the shadows.
Yeah.
Like that girl knows how to live low key in the shadows. Like, but
True.
going back to our legends topic is I don't know if you guys have said this already. My mind is literally just kind of dead. But
Fair.
HK87.
Yes.
Did we talk about that already?
No.
No. Well, that's like direct KOTOR reference, except it's 87, not 47.
Has
He's a
been a
red
thousand
droid
years
and
or something.
everything. Yeah, I mean, he's a red
That's
HK
cool.
droid.
Yeah, that's really
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
Of course, if you haven't played KOTOR,
Yes, that's over my head,
I'll
but
explain it for Cody. Um, but you meet an assassin droid. Darth Revan actually has an assassin droid that he kind of programs, and his name is HK-47. And then, of course, playing as Revan, you are able to run into him again later. And then, as you learn your identity, Revan or HK-47 kind of unlocks different parts of his persona more, and is able to feed you information about who you were. And yeah, he's just a really cool assassin droid. You know, the predecessor to the IG units, basically. So it's cool that we've now jumped exactly 40 units type of deal to this new upgraded HK 87. Though to be fair, I'm pretty sure HK 47 would have done way better than all of these guys, but irrelevant, I guess. That's
Cosmo Droid would have done better.
definitely a great catch and really cool if you like KOTOR. If you don't like KOTOR, it's still really cool. Just get over it. Um,
Another cool Easter egg. While I'm thinking of Easter eggs, I love that they threw the owl in there right before you saw Ahsoka.
right.
That was pretty cool.
Why?
Most
Mm-hmm.
likely being Mariah, which is very exciting because they've done a good job, like, obviously with that whole episode in the Clone Wars with bringing Mariah around frequently, in very small moments. I think it's very cool. And
Yeah,
then
just subtle hint.
we of course we get the Loth Cat. Get him for
Yeah.
about 2 seconds. That's always fun. Just a
Did you
good
say you
nod to
saw him
Rebels.
twice? Because I only saw
Yes.
him once.
So
I
I
only saw
actually
him
went, oh my
once.
gosh, look at that. Trying to
Me
see
and
if
Matt
Mallory
both
saw
caught
it,
him the
and she
second
did.
time only.
And then you guys both saw it the second time. But yeah, so, and I thought that was actually going to be the only time you saw him, but you saw him basically like 10 seconds before you see him.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, cool that there was a Loth Cat. Um, not really any other like obvious Easter eggs. I did think one of the ones as Mando's flying in with his ship, he gets scanned. I don't really know what it
Mm.
is, but I pointed that out to you, Cody, as we were
Oh, it's a
watching
little
it.
gun. Yeah.
It's you get the little gun guy, and it's a
Like in Yavin.
connection to Episode 4, A New Hope, as the Falcon comes in. We get those guys on the little tower and they actually track the Falcon on it. So I don't know what that does. I'm sure it's some sort of like, scanning the ship either for life forms, trackers, any information on the ship, so running the license plate. I don't something like that, right?
Right. Basically.
Like my analogy.
Yeah.
And then okay, before we get to probably what Mallory really wants to talk about, I want to talk about something that was really cool. Did anyone recognize our Asian buddy who is clearly the governor?
Not
Not really.
not off the
Okay.
top of my head.
So I recognized him, but I was trying to see if it really was him. I'll pull it up just so everyone knows a little bit here, because I wrote some stuff down on who he is just so everyone's aware. But his name was Governor Wing. That's who they made him in the show. Gosh, let me drag this so it's not in Cody's face. His name's Governor Wing, and his name is Wing Tao Tao. He is
Getting his
from
thing.
China, and he came over here in the 50s and is literally regarded as a Disney legend. He's not an actor. He is
Hmm.
responsible for so much of Disney. He is the primary architect and overseer of Disneyland Tokyo.
Yeah.
Did the Disneyland Hong Kong Resort. He was the primary person over four separate Disneyland cruise lines. He's done so much for Disney. He's a huge person, especially as Disney went over into Asia, and he is just phenomenal. He's an architect who's has degrees from Berkeley and Harvard. He's so awesome. It was really cool that they brought in this Disney legend just for a quick little shot. So,
Well, and just seeing an Asian person in stars in general is always cool. I think.
of course, yeah, you're getting good representation. I really like that. And I
Yep.
think it was just such a cool nod. He didn't need to be like a fantastic actor, but bringing in this one guy who was just, he's done a lot for Disney. He's retired about 3 years ago now, I think. So that's just really cool. And I thought the whole episode had kind of like a Asia vibe, like the
Oh, very
architecture.
much. The
We had
fighting
like
too.
the magistrates area. Felt very, kind of Japanese is the vibe I was getting. Like we had like the just the architecture specifically of the magistrate's palace was like super
Yeah.
Japanese to me.
Well, and then the whole fight scene at the end was super samurai-ish, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, which
It
I
looked
think is a
very Dave
huge,
Filoni.
yeah, a huge George Lucas kind of nod with all the inspiration that he took. That was very like all of that. The whole fight, the way they're looking at each other as they pace, it was just
Right.
like total samurai type of stuff, and which was really cool to see. And then even some of the music and obviously, like you said, the palace and all of the scenery and everything
Music.
of it.
I love the
But
mirror. Like you just made me think of this. That did seem very samurai. I think a lot of moves were based on like Shaolin, which would be pretty interesting. But like it seemed like a samurai movie. You could see a samurai movie between Ahsoka and the Magistrate, right? You could see that. It felt really cool, very slow, awesome fighting, and then literally mirrored outside the wall the other huge reference for Star Wars and specifically the Mandalorian
the western,
westerns.
yeah,
Literally
around
a
the same time,
standoff. Just right
yeah,
there, just right outside. Just two mirrors of what makes Star Wars and specifically what makes The Mandalorian in one scene at the simultaneously. How cool is that? Of just like
cool.
a
Well,
here's where we
and
get
they
our
did that with the
inspiration.
music, right? Like the music was half western, half like
Oh yeah.
more
The
like Asian
music of the
influence. Like
season
both
gets
of them, it's
better and
interesting.
better all the time.
And it's just so different and unique, but it still works. Like it's just hats off, obviously, always to them. But that's just that was really cool. The music went really well with the
Hmm.
vibes that they're
Yeah.
playing. That was just a cool
And
planet in general.
need I say that every time Ahsoka's walking off the screen, for like one of
Hmm.
her final times we'll see her, it's always her theme. Like it's always just that one part
Yeah,
of her theme.
Right.
Always. It's
True.
chills.
And
Literally
then
chills.
when we have the discussion where Ahsoka talks about Yoda, it's a brief
It's
moment
Yoda's
in the
theme.
um overall music of
what would you say?
Star
That's
Wars,
the
but it
Force
ends up
theme.
being Yoda's theme. Just for a
Oh,
moment.
does
It's
it?
literally 2 seconds
Mm-hmm.
long. 2 to 3 seconds
Hmm,
max. But the music swells and then it transitions back into the Mandalorian, like more Mandalorian stuff. And it
that's cool.
fits so well. Oh my gosh. Right? Like that's basically just like my feeling every time like we get an episode. I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, that fits so well." But of course, I think one of the highlights of this episode was besides how amazing Ahsoka was, is the name drop where she's like, "Tell me where your master is," and we're like, "Was that Grief Karga? What's that?" No, it's not
Yeah,
Grief Karga. It's Grand Admiral Thrawn.
that
So
was the
he's alive. So that means
last thing that we could have
Mallory's
expected.
freaking out about the fact that Ezra's alive, and that means that Ahsoka is helping Sabine find Ezra at this time in Star Wars, his canon timeline.
Can I just like stop you right there for a second?
Hmm.
So let's just put this into perspective. If Thrawn is already out in the world doing things, which will get to my view on that later, Ezra's already found. I can guarantee it. Because if
It's
they were still
possible.
searching for him, then Sabine, like Ahsoka, wouldn't be helping these villagers. Like I think when,
I
cause
don't agree
no,
with that.
so because look,
Why is she trying to find Thrawn then? Thrawn could
you
have Ezra
guys know how
imprisoned for all
menacing
we know.
Thrawn is, right?
Well, yeah,
Well,
I
I
understand that, but I'm
Thrawn,
just saying
but if
you can't assume that just because Thrawn's found doesn't mean Ezra's not chained up somewhere on Thrawn's ship. You know, like maybe Thrawn overpowered him. I don't know. It could go either way, but I'm just saying like
Right.
it's
But
possible.
I'm saying if they're looking for Thrawn, then we can probably assume that they know where Ezra is.
see, and I'd argue the exact
Unless
opposite
they
because if
just
they're
think he's with
looking
Thrawn.
for Thrawn, then at the same point they don't know where Thrawn is. So whatever Thrawn's doing, you can't tell. So he's not an
I don't know.
objective threat, right? Where Moff Gideon is an objective threat. He's doing things. He's blowing people up. He's having children kidnapped and having their blood taken out. Like he's doing things. He's clearly a current villain in this timeline where we don't know what. It doesn't seem like if we're looking for Thrawn, it seems like you're kind of like, what's Thrawn doing? More than anything is the vibe I get.
I just am pointing out it could go either way. Like I wouldn't say, oh, guaranteed that means Ezra's safe and chilling with Sabine right now.
Well, I'm
Like
not saying he's
you
safe.
know,
I'm
like
saying they probably know where he is.
But and then like my
unless
point
he's
is
with
like
Thrawn still.
Ahsoka. Ahsoka would always help the villagers regardless of anyone else being in perilous danger because that's just 100% her character.
Well,
Also, on
And
that, she was very like it was very important to her to save those prisoners.
mhm,
And obviously, she doesn't want random innocent people to die. But I just
that
got the
seems
feeling,
reasonable.
was there something with those specific prisoners? I thought in the end, I expected them to wrap that up and you to find out that like she knew them or something or they were some importance. But anyways, they didn't really bring that back in, and so
I
I
would
could be
probably
wrong.
just
So
assume that
she just didn't want
she
innocent people
she's
to die.
directly responsible for them being in prison.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
like like just like a this is my fault. I need to
Maybe
make
they
sure they're okay.
maybe they were helping her, and that's why
Hmm.
they're in prison. I don't know. Because that
Seems
guy was like, "Don't talk to us." Like apparently, maybe talking to Ahsoka is what got their family in prison to begin with, or whatever.
that's a good point.
I don't know. It was a whole weird colony and everything. Like I, sorry, Mal. You can talk about Thrawn again.
so one thing I want to mention is this entire thing is not Thrawn-like. I mean, just hear me out for a second. Thrawn is about the destruction of worlds or taking over and dominating, conquering worlds. That's not Thrawn's character. This is very imperial-ish, and clearly it has nothing to do. From what it seems like for me, this has nothing to do with the Empire. But I know Thrawn, having read 7 of the 9 novels released, that this isn't in his character. Thrawn will do everything to protect the Ascendancy, and that's his number one priority: is the Ascendancy. I mean, in the last like Ascendancy novel, yes, he pushes the limits and he goes above and beyond to aggression when he needs to out of the protection of the ascendancy, but he's a genius. He doesn't just go and conquer worlds because he can. He's not a power hungry monarch or dictator. He's not like that. He's not Palpatine. So I cannot see Thrawn behind this, and clearly he's involved in this some way, and it could lead back to the ascendancy. But I can't see him doing this without reason. That it's like just with in this like imperial kind of vibe that I'm getting. Like that's just not in his character that we've seen,
True.
and that's
Well,
even in Legends too.
pretty much historically in Star Wars, the word magistrate has been frequently used as imperial. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
technically, by definition, magistrate just means ruler. But in Star Wars, it seems to always be an imperial ruler. I don't know why, but that seems to be a thing. And then on all of our weird dudes with masks that were kind of reminiscent of the Knights of Ren, in my opinion, have a similar vibe of that. Clearly not. That would be super weird. Um, but they had, to me, what looked like imperial badges. They're very
Yeah, like
basic.
the little
They
red,
had
like
the.
the dots
Mhm.
or whatever.
Yeah,
So
see, like I saw that.
I thought
I
that
just
it
too,
just
but
didn't
I'm
look
not sure if
quite
that's just
right.
part of their mask. I don't know.
yeah, see, like I saw the little like the badge too. But like once again, I said I think once the Empire died in the like or once the Emperor died in the like and the Empire's kind of falling away, I can't see him staying there because the only reason he's in the Empire is to protect the Chiss ascendancy. Like, and it
Yeah,
says that in the novels. He's like, I'm doing this to protect my people.
Right. If it just kind of depends because if Thrawn knows what's up, then Thrawn could either know with Palpatine's still alive, there's things going on, etc. So he could be like, okay, I'm still with the Empire. Or if we're running with the theory that him and Ezra are lost in deep space still, and there's only minimal communication, then there's a chance he has no idea really what the hell's going on in the actual core worlds and stuff like that, and the fall of the Empire, etc. So it's really just trying to figure out how much he knows and where he is. Like, is he back with the Ascendancy? Is he just, or is he just, lost somewhere, right? What the hell's going on?
I don't know. Thrawn isn't one to back away from a fight either. I mean, we all know that guy can fight. So so I don't. And he's one to go out and get shit done. He's not one to leave that up to other people. So I can't imagine him hiding behind a shadow or something like that.
True.
I can't see this being a Dryden boss Maul situation.
No, I wouldn't think so. But at the same point, if he does understand who Palpatine is, he and also understands what
Right.
Palpatine's planning, like Palpatine really never loses power, is what we find out in
No,
the
no,
next 30
but
years, right?
right. but we also know that the Emperor trusts Thrawn.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
So it wouldn't be hard pressed for me to believe that Thrawn is still pretty much in cahoots with Machine
Yeah.
Palpatine.
It's definitely possible, but I just
Or
like I
maybe
said,
Gideon's answering to Thrawn too.
if that happens, I don't know what I'd do with myself.
That'd be crazy.
It's
I mean, I
interesting,
already know
especially with their
what I'd do
ranking.
with myself, and I just heard the name.
True, where this all works with Admiral Sloane, Moff Gideon.
Dude, I totally forgot about Sloan, and I love her. My mind is just.
I mean, coming to this episode, we knew we were gonna get some awesome stuff like Ahsoka and that, but between Thrawn, that was like 0% expected at all. I just that was mind blowing.
I figured
Andrew,
if any of the Rebels characters was going to show, it was going to be Sabine. Thrawn was the
Right.
last person.
Agreed.
Andrew Kesh says Palpatine is like Voldemort or something. Yep, he's got a ton of Horcruxes. But no, I think that's just like a great point is like, I think the last 2 weeks have been spectacular, but at the same point, not what anyone ever expected. Did we think that there was a chance that Mando wasn't going to end up with Ahsoka last week? Yeah, pretty much. But like, did we think he was going to hang out and do a pointless side quest? Yeah, probably. Did we think it was going to somehow lead into like the clone answers questions about the cloning, create way more questions, potentially release dark troopers, which hasn't been a thing in 20 years, and Moff Gideon building like super soldiers? No, that's not where we thought that was
Right.
going. No one was like, yeah, I predict Moff Gideon is using Baby Yoda as a clone to create dark troopers. No one said that. Don't think so. This week everyone was like, we're going to see Sabine and Ahsoka. No, we're going to see Ahsoka looking for Thrawn. Like, every week it just goes in a different direction and is insane.
Yeah.
And I think the problem, like last week, we talked about how many opportunities that the direction of that episode put the overall direction of the show in, right? And then this one, it's like this one seems to me just clearly set up for a spinoff. That just seems like where this one's going for specifically. But at the same point, it's like they could quite easily now travel down this Ahsoka path. I don't think that'll happen. But now we also have to think about. I can I know Mallory and I we talked about 2 weeks ago now. We're like, okay, well, with the name drop of Ahsoka, we think Ahsoka's gonna be like, sorry, not a Jedi. Deal with kids yourself. Bye. Right. That was kind of the vibe
But
Mallory and I were guessing.
she
And
didn't necessarily
but
say
she
like
didn't.
that, but she kind of did.
Right.
No,
But
she
we're like,
didn't.
okay, well, that's gonna happen, and maybe he's gonna do some stuff, but eventually it's gonna just be Mando and Baby Yoda. Right. Makes sense. No one wants to get rid of the child. He's so cute.
Grogu.
I still like the child.
It was cool how they really emphasized how much connection he felt to Din. So
Right. That
he
was so
he
cool.
wasn't like he didn't really want to leave. He had a connection. He looked at him like a father, and
Hmm.
he was attached to the point where Ahsoka was like, probably not healthy because I've seen it happen to Anakin, that kind of thing. So
Oh my gosh, we didn't mention the fact that she totally talks about Anakin
she
and
said
mentions how
talking about
like
the dark side and all that.
yeah. So yeah, that happens because you can't have Ahsoka without having a really sad moment about Anakin, pretty much.
Right.
But at the same point, that's what Mallory and I thought it was just going to be. Well, we didn't expect him to have a name, but Grogu and Mando, just off in the
Yeah.
distance, getting it more back to the Mandalorian roots, like and kind of resolving with this the Siege of Mandalore time period, that stuff. But now
Well,
we
but
have, hey, I'm not going to train him, but now we're going to go learn more about Jedi lore still. And we still have this whole side quest with Bo Katan that we know is going to come back to bite us in the ass soon.
I think
um,
everything that we've seen pertaining to Ahsoka and the Thrawn and anything, I think that's going to be its own series. Like we're
Oh,
going to get
for
something that
sure.
whether it's going to be a series, comics, books, something. There's
yeah.
going to be a series. That they're not going to touch that in the Mandalorian because that's not the Mandalorian. I think
Hmm.
the direction this is going to go is I have
Yeah,
no idea what's gonna happen to the child, but I think Mando's gonna go help in the second season of Mandalore.
it really could be. Yeah, I agree. I think Bo is going to come back, and that's going to be stuff going forward because she's got to get the dark saber from Moff Gideon. That's already established. We're going to
Hmm.
see more Bo. I don't know that we're going to see more Ahsoka in the Mandalorian. I agree with that. I think that that was her kind of walking away,
Right.
and that yes, we probably are going to get an Ahsoka series that we've heard rumors about, and that's where we'll see her and Sabine, or maybe Ezra will pop up. But yeah, I agree. I think that was her one appearance, and it was just a kind of way to get everyone excited. And people are gonna say, "Well, then that's dumb. They're just milking it." I'm like, but it was amazing. It was well done. They did it in a good way. I think that's me.
And I think at
Even
the
if
same
she's
point,
just in one episode.
right, but as soon as you introduce this guy and point out that he had the Force, there was only so many routes that you had this could go. Like it had to eventually end up at Ahsoka, at Ezra, very unlikely, or at Luke, which is also unlikely, seeing as Mark Hamill's old. But
Right
like it just set up those options. So that's I think the
now,
crazy thing.
I keep feeling like, oh yeah, we pretty much know the points, and I think of other things. So that's just what's so cool about unpacking this episode. I'm gonna have to watch it a million more times. But
Right.
she says the whole point of her sending him to this temple, she says he can, for some reason, he's gonna be able to choose his own path there, right?
Hmm.
He's gonna have a connection with the Force. Maybe he'll see some Force ghosts. I don't know what he's gonna see, but he's gonna have clarity and know what path he wants to take. And then they said, Ahsoka said at that point, other Jedi might sense him, although there's not a lot of Jedi left. To me, that's her foreshadowing that there's going to be some other run in with another Jedi. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen, but it kind of seems like that. And I don't know who else is out there other than Ezra and Luke and maybe Cal Kestis. I don't know. There's just, I
Yeah,
mean, we
depending
don't
if he's
really
dead or
know.
not.
Right. And then maybe, depending on how far into anything, if Luke's began training anyone or if he's whatever. But
Timeline wise, I think we still have 7 or 8
that's not
years.
still early, right? But I mean, we don't know exactly what he did in all the time, other than that he was going around looking for Jedi temples.
Mm.
But I don't know. All I'm saying is she heavily hinted, like, "Hey, when you go to this temple, some other Jedi might show up." But then we do. I don't know.
I
I
just
could
think
see
it's kind of
Ahsoka.
funny. She's like, "Hey, there's other Jedi." Not
Yeah.
me.
Well, Moff Gideon says he gets to use the dark saber a lot. I mean, Esposito literally says that in all of his. He's like, I had some intense fights, but that doesn't necessarily mean they were saber. We all just kind of assumed he was going to fight Ahsoka, so I
Well,
could still see that
I
happening.
think
But
that's
it could be him
pretty.
versus Bo-Katan.
I think it's gonna be him
Actually,
versus Mando. It's the
that's what I
staff
was
that
just
can
about to
block
say. The staff.
lightsabers. That was kind
That's
of
right.
just easy. Yes, Mallory.
Yeah, he's gonna use that staff, dude. You're right.
So, okay, this is totally not what we're talking about because clearly I'm
Shocker.
not a little more. But you know how we were talking about a couple weeks ago how a theory of ours was Ahsoka's gonna be like the Jedi need to die kind of vibe.
Yeah,
I probably didn't say that, but sure.
Well, I
like
did,
you're saying, she would
but
kind of mirror Luke or whatever.
yeah, it was gonna be kind of like a mirror of Luke in that sense.
Hmm.
I think it was really interesting how she said it would be better to let his powers fade away.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was one interesting thing.
I
Okay,
think that's slightly different because
I
like
got
that's
one more.
just saying like, hey, Anakin
Well,
shouldn't have been trained.
right, because clearly she's directing him to the temple. So
Right.
I'm not saying like the Jedi should die, but that was very
Yeah, that was interesting. I agree. And
I
it was
think that
also
was a good
interesting just to think
acknowledgement.
that that's a possibility. You can just let your. I mean, I guess if you just disconnect yourself from the force, but that was just an interesting way to
I mean,
say
look
it.
at Cal. Cal basically had to relearn how to use the Force.
That's true.
True. And then
Um,
like in moments of strife and stress, he's pulls out the force, right? And that's pretty much what we've seen the child do, or
And
Grogu.
well,
Kanan.
how can yeah?
And
I
I
Well,
think
think
how
Kanan
cool
may
was it that?
just
it
mainly
only got
just
better
hid
later.
and had to learn more.
Well, I mean,
How
if you in the New Dawn is he didn't use the Force at all, but in literally in times of stress and stuff like that, he pulled it out and like
Hmm.
yeah,
That
it
makes
wasn't
sense. Yeah.
until Rebels he really started using the Force again.
Right.
how crazy and cool was it that they threw in the whole like, well, or when Ahsoka says he basically has basically anxiety about using the Force now because he had pretty much turned it off so that he wouldn't be found. Like it was part of his safety, right? So it's along with Cal Kestis and all the people. They tried to hide, number one, that they're force sensitive, but probably tried to disconnect themselves from the force so that other people couldn't sense them through it as much, you know. So after so many years of doing that, I mean, that's a lot of years. Think about how many years ago before Mando found him that he was
It's like
in hiding.
almost 30 years.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure a lot
Pretty
happened in
much.
that, but yeah, like we're talking about, you know, 6 years after Battle of Endor, from him being taken from the Jedi Temple, like in Revenge of the Sith. That's crazy. It's a
He
long
might have
time.
just been in a crib the entire time.
Yeah, I, he had to have eaten, but yeah, gotta eat some frogs.
I wonder if, as he connects to the Force, if he will grow up.
Maybe.
Like if that was part of like a defense mechanism.
Yeah, he just wasn't doing anything, much of anything for the last little while. I don't know. And that's interesting too. Like, there's gonna be a whole like. I hope they don't just leave us with that, because somehow, some way, I want to know who dropped him off. I want to know why they chose where they chose. Was he on the planet being guarded by those? Forget the species. Nictos.
Hmm.
Um, on Quill's planet. Was he there the whole time, or did he get captured and put there, or why was he? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I don't know. There's a million questions now with that. They're gonna be freaking sweet
Yeah. But will we get him
if they answer
answered?
them. But I didn't expect us to get anything like what we got as far
Mm-mm.
as a name, as far as a backstory, at all.
Right.
But it makes sense. Ahsoka would be able to kind of understand a little more about him, because he
For
obviously he
sure.
doesn't speak basic, but he can speak through the Force, I guess. And maybe at the temple, same thing. They only spoke to him through the Force. Maybe, I don't know. And no one was probably talking to him for the last 30 years, so
True. So basically, this episode hits a lot of points, um, backwards in the timeline, forwards in the timeline, and what answered none of our questions that we got after last episode. So the next episode needs to be roughly like 3 hours long for me to actually feel like we got enough out. So that'll be interesting.
never enough.
Okay, The Greatest Showman. But I think it's time to call it. Crazy episode, crazy season so far. The appearances from people aren't weighing down the show at all. They're
No,
uplifting, they're guiding it, and they're blowing our minds all the time. So, very well done, Favreau. Very well done, Filoni. Oh my gosh, Filoni did a fantastic job directing. I think he's grown so much as a direction of live action since last season. With this season, the cinematography was, I thought, so much better. It's fantastic. The Mandalorian's great, and I'm gonna be ticked when this ends in 3 weeks. So ticked. So go watch it, and then go check out Mallory. I know she's gonna be posting, oh, what about Thrawn for the next week, maybe, maybe. So check out Analyzing Star Wars with Mallory, and then we'll be obviously posting discussion posts and stuff about Star Wars Doctrine. And if you want to chat with people and be wary of spoilers, we do have our Discord, so go check us out on the Discord. There's spoiler chats, so just hang out there. And as always, may the Force be with you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye,
this is the
buddy.
way.
This is the
The
way.
warriors
And
forcing me with you.
and this guy's name is Grogu.
Clunky. I mean, Goku. Grogu?
Grogu.
Grogu. Grogu.
Yeah, he's not from Dragon Ball
Grogu.
Z.